So my focus really in what I sort of envision for the next 5 to 10 years is raising the vibration of the planet and the people on the planet through feng shui and through my Angel Academy. And what I mean by that is when we raise the vibration of a home, that impacts positively the homes around it. And when we personally raise our vibration, as I do with my women in the Angel Intuition Academy, it also raises the vibration of the people around. So one person that's vibrating at a higher level, there's some research out there, I guess, that they impact 90,000 people at a lower level, which is amazing to me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nobuyo Ann Catherine. I am the founder and CEO of Divine Heart Enterprise. I am a master spiritual life coach, energy healer, feng shui master, and card advisor. Today, for this second episode of my interview series called Finding Your Soul Tribe, I have a very special guest, Kim Julen. Kim is the owner of Finding Your Fiji. She is a feng shui expert and spiritual connection coach. Through her Angel Intuition Academy, feng shui consultations, angel readings, and angel message circles, Kim helps women regain clarity and confidence in their intuition to navigate life more ease and joy. Kim lives on the island of Maui, Hawaii, with her partner Eric. Fun fact, in 2017, Kim moved from Minnesota to Maui, sight unseen, to make her dream life a reality. Please welcome Kim. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm very so excited about having this conversation with you and learning more, what
Yes.
you've been up to and what have you been and all that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited too. This will be fun.
I'd like to start with asking you about feng shui because that's how we kind of met. So your feng shui journey, how it all gets started and how you got into it.
Yeah, so feng shui is something that sort of fell into my lap, as I think it happens with a lot of people, where what happened for me, this was back in 1999. I moved into a new house with my family. We had kind of designed this house, not knowing anything about feng shui, and things weren't going well. We had plenty of money coming in, but it was going right out the back door, and our relationship was having a bumpy time. And I was at the library with my little boys at the time, and I stumbled across a book on feng shui. It was actually Karen Rao Carter's book, Move Your Stuff, Change Your Life. And I started reading and doing some things, and I just was so fascinated. It was a kind of one of those things where I just fell in love with it right away. And also when I started making these little changes, and of course my husband kind of thought I was a little bit crazy, but I started making these changes and things shifted and fast, very fast. So I was a believer at that point. I was like, okay, this really works. There's something to this. So that's how I initially got introduced to it. And I did for a number of years. I studied it on my own. I read a ton of books on it. I would even do like little mini classes with my networking group. I had a women's networking group that I belonged to. It was just a small group of women, and I would share little tips with them. And then eventually I got certified in 2014 with the Wind and Water School of Feng Shui with Carol Heider.
Well, that's not, yeah. And you've been with International Feng Shui Guild for a while as well. correct?
Yes. Yeah, I actually, so interestingly, there was a group, it's closed now, but there was the Feng Shui Institute of the Midwest that I was on the board for them when I was in Minnesota, and that was more of a local group in Minnesota, the Midwest. And then when I moved to Maui, they just happened to have openings on the IFSG board, and so I applied and got accepted. And so I've been on the board since I moved to Maui 9 years ago.
You reached out to me through the International Feng Shui Guild first. I started a Feng Shui journey as well, and eventually we kind of connected in person in Maui. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But my journey, I started out with Feng Shui, and then because it deals with so much of earthly energy, but as human beings is more than just earthly being, right? So I eventually kind of expanded my practice onto another, I mean, different modalities such as like energy healings and card readings and stuff like that. And it seems like you kind of told me that you kind of had an intuitive gift to begin with. So, how do you blend your like intuitive gift with like feng shui?
Yeah, so it's sort of interesting because I had very strong intuition when I was little, and I ended up kind of blocking that because it was too much, and I didn't have the tools or the skills to keep the negative out. Meaning, like I would have like people in my room at night when I was sleeping, and it would freak me out.
Oh my God.
So I blocked it off for many, many years. And then around the same time that I discovered feng shui, a little bit before that, I actually reconnected with my angels and guides when I went to see Wayne Dyer and Abraham. Abraham is a non-physical collective of beings that Esther Hicks uh, basically channels. And so Wayne Dyer, Dr. Dyer, was asking questions of this collective, and it was an event in California. And I went to that with a friend of mine, and the energy in that place. Speaking of energy, like you could feel it, like it was so strong and so. Just powerful. And it was right after that, like the next morning, I woke up and I could hear my angels and guides like instantly. And I lovingly like to say they haven't shut up since. uh,
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. So you kind of are they part of your like daily lives?
Definitely. Yeah. So for me, since I reconnected with them, they very much pushed me to receive information, initially for myself. And then they really let me know that like I was meant to do this for other people. And I do readings for others now. It's one of the most fun things that I do. And I like to say the easiest because for me, it's just I'm a clear channel. I get the information and I just relay it. I just get out of the way essentially. And sometimes even when people ask questions, they will ask questions during a reading, or they might pre-submit them, and I'm be like, I'm glad I don't have to answer this because I don't know what to say. But they always have the answer, and I'm always getting guidance from them. So for me, I one of the things that I do is I meditate every morning. And I'm constantly kind of throughout the day asking for guidance. Sometimes I use different tools to do that. I might use a pendulum to get a yes or no answer around something, or I might, get quiet and go into a meditation to get answers for them. Or sometimes I just get a sense or a feeling, or I get guided to something. But yeah, that is definitely part of my daily life, and I do use it in feng shui as well.
Yes, it's funny you said about you love card reading, which I became to know myself that that is my favorite things too. I just love, I don't have intuitive gift like you do. So I do rely on cards, but I definitely love that part. And I'm pretty good at
And
drawing cards, but
I was gonna
yeah,
say I'm gonna argue with you about that because everyone is intuitive, and even the cards that you choose are an intuitive thing that you're doing. So you're actually tapping into your intuition when you're choosing the cards, and they're always the right cards for you, right?
right, exactly. They're right cards for me or for anybody that I read cards. It's just yeah, interpretation, how I can articulate the messages. That is the part I may struggle, but I love that. And I mentioned your Angel Intuition Academy at
Yeah.
introduction. Do you
Yeah.
share a little bit more about your Angel Intuition Academy?
Yeah, I definitely can. So, what I found is a lot of people, but in particular women, because I work mostly with women, get disconnected. So they have a really strong intuition, but then they start second guessing themselves, or they're trying to make a decision and they can't seem to hear the answer. So often they'll say to me, "Yeah, I'm asking, but I'm getting nothing." It's like radio silence. And so, what I do in the Angel Academy is I actually help them move through what I call a five-step process. It's five facets to flow. And part of this is preparing to receive the guidance. So there are things that we need to do to get ready to receive the guidance. It isn't something that we can just snap our fingers and it happens. There's also a lot of times energetic blocks. And so we kind of identify what those blocks are and remove them. And then the big part, the most fun part is connecting and communicating. So I teach them how to connect with their angels and guides and how to communicate with them, how they communicate answers to us, because obviously they're not necessarily always speaking to us, although that is something that happens for me. I do hear words and phrases. Some people get more in pictures. Some people get more of a feeling in their body. So there's lots of different ways that they can communicate. And then it's also about teaching them how to trust themselves and then getting that confidence. So, kind of practicing. So, one of the things that we've been doing recently is doing what I call intuitive play dates. So, when we get hop on Zoom, I do support sessions a couple times a month, and we'll hop on Zoom together. And everyone brings kind of their personal question, and we go through the process and practice getting answers for other people, and also practice getting answers for ourselves.
I should definitely join that. I would benefit from what you teach and the practices too. I just
Yeah.
realized that we have kind of so much in common, more than I thought, and I feel like I'm following your footsteps in some ways. I think
Yeah,
one thing leads to another, and I really enjoy my journey as well. But speaking of, angels giving you guidance and the stuff. I'm sure you have so many episodes that they gave you kind of they played a key
hmm,
role in making big decisions. So do they have anything to do with you moving to Hawaii?
definitely. Yeah, I wouldn't be here otherwise. Sort of what happened for me is I was getting nudges from them and I was getting messages about needing to move. So I lived in Minnesota all my life pretty much. I did do a study abroad in Ireland when I was in college, but otherwise I lived in Minnesota all my life. And it just started to feel like I was meant to move somewhere else and I didn't know where. And then as I was exploring that, I kept getting messages about Maui and I was freaking out a little bit, I would say, because it was a big deal to move to an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I didn't know anybody. I had never actually been here before I moved here. And so I asked them for a sign. I said, if this is something that you really want me to do, and I still get goosebumps around that, right? I get what we call here in Hawaii chicken skin around that is I asked them for a really clear sign, something that I could not ignore that would be very clear that I was meant to move to Maui. And the very next day I got it. I got a package in the mail. I was in the process, I was doing a kind of a Secret Santa sister exchange. So I was getting gifts from people I didn't know. This was in December of 2016. And I got a gift. I opened, when I came home that next day, there was a package on my front step, and I opened it, and I don't even honestly remember what the gift was. And it didn't have a return address on it. So, well, actually, it had a return address, but not a name. So it was like from Minnesota, but not a name. And after I had looked at the gifts, I saw that they had sort of cushioned the gifts on the top with uh, little gift bags or whatever, just to kind of cushion it. And I pulled out the one that had been on top, and it was like a turquoise blue, and it said Maui Divers Jewelry on it. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
that's really clear. It says Maui on it.
Yeah, that's
And
very, very specific, isn't it?
very
Actually, I'm
specific.
wearing Hawaiian jewelry that I bought
Oh,
in
I am too.
Maui. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got this. My boyfriend gave this to me.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's
Is it
like a
like
sun.
sun?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a sunshine with the
yeah.
opal. Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love
Hmm.
plumeria and this is
Oh,
my
Plumeria.
plumeria. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've been to Maui a couple of times and it's just the energy is amazing. I feel like its energy is healing energy.
Yes.
I
Very much
think it
so.
has a power to, so as human beings, I feel all of us like carry like emotional baggage or spiritual wounds. And it's
Hmm.
not like, it's not, I think Maui itself kind of went through hardship in some ways and just like fires and the flooding. And speaking of which, are you okay with the flooding and everything?
Yes, yeah, I live up country, so we're on the mountain, so things tend to run down from us.
Okay, that
Fortunately for us, unfortunately for people that live, by the beaches, that's where it's most significantly.
yeah. And
Yeah.
but it does have this like a healing and a resilience energy. So to me, like it takes your like damaged pieces from you and then cleanse it and heal it.
Mhm.
Then it put it back to you. Like here you
Yeah.
are. And that's how I feel the energy of Maui. So it
Ugh.
must be really amazing for you to live there and especially with the intuitive gift that you have.
The veil is thinner here, and that's one thing I noticed when I moved here. It was like it was easier for me to do my work because there wasn't as much in the way. And Maui is also considered the heart chakra of the earth. So there's a resonance. The way it's been described to me is that the resonance of Maui is the same as our hearts. And so there's like definitely things that happen are like heart opening. I've done a couple retreats here and amazing things have happened for people. And it's not always, I will say it's not always an easy opening. People do sometimes have difficulties that they go through when they're here. I even know I have a dear friend that moved here not too long ago, and she's gone through some stuff. So it's not always the easiest energy, but it's very much about that transformation. And it's really interesting because Hawaiians are they have a very special relationship with what we call the Aina or the land. And also with Anela, which is the angels or messengers. So there's a very, very strong connection with that. And that's actually interesting. When I was creating my Angel Intuition Academy, the acronym is AIA, AIA, and it means there or there it is in Hawaiian, which extends kind of to the belief like, yes, there are angels, there are guides, we do have help, right? So
Yeah.
I thought that was really sweet how that came in when the name for the academy came in for me. I was like, oh, it's really connected to that Hawaiian energy as well.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Yeah. And then speaking of which, of going through the hard time or hardship, I think that's part of the process, right? You kind of have to
Yeah.
shed what is not there, needed or broken, or people trying to hang on to those wounds and the wreckage. So sometimes in that process, make it through. That happens with my feng shui client as well.
Yes.
Because feng shui, people think when they implement that everything's going to be perfect. And I said to
Yeah.
them, no, really, because then they experience some of the hardship, like breaking up with marriages or other things, and say
Mhm.
that is because, that was not needed for you, or that wasn't for you. And therefore, it's like clearing out your way to shed something that you don't need it anymore, or meant to move on type of things. So that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true with the feng shui. Because it is like if there's are things that aren't in alignment, once you get your space balanced, the energy in your space balance, the things that are not aligned will either leave or, be, I don't want to say destroyed, but like sometimes it just there's a big shift, right? Like something happens, like you lose a job or you get a friendship that breaks apart or whatever it is, but it's something that wasn't in alignment. And so when things are balanced, then the things that are not in alignment are going to just naturally fall away.
Yeah. And then, but you're gonna move up from there. You kind of
Yes,
rising from that
exactly.
part. So if
Yes.
anything that stays down here, it just remains, and you feel like it's kind of breaking away, but it's just you are the one that moving up. That's how I see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, your vibration is raising, and so then you're no longer a match for the
Mhm.
things that are down here. Yeah, beautiful.
So I love Maui. I do have two other friends who live there, so I think
Ah,
it's time for me to go back. But I also
yes.
have Bali as another place that I've never been
Oh.
to on my radar, which is also I hear different, like maybe amazing energy vortex. Have you
I
heard?
have heard that too. That is also on my bucket list to go to.
Maybe we can do it together.
That would be
We can do a
fun.
retreat together.
That would be fun. That would be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great. This is great. I feel like already like refreshed. Like I'm getting like
Yes.
Maui or your energy like through this,
Yeah.
Zoom call, and I feel very like refreshed. So
Nice.
yeah, it's been fun, but I'd like to ask you, how do you see yourself in next 5 or 10 years, where you want to go and how, where you would be?
Yeah, so my focus really in what I sort of envision for the next 5 to 10 years is raising the vibration of the planet and the people on the planet through feng shui and through my Angel Academy. And what I mean by that is when we raise the vibration of a home, that impacts positively the homes around it. And when we personally raise our vibration, as I do with my women in the Angel Intuition Academy, it also raises the vibration of the people around them. I think there's a quote by David Hawkins. He wrote a book called Power versus Force, and he talks about the individual that's aligned with their power, which that's what he refers to it as power. I refer to it more as their intuition or their connection. They become an attractor of positive change. So one person that's vibrating at a higher level, there's some research out there, I guess, that they impact 90,000 people at a lower level, which is amazing to me. I knew it intuitively, but to hear like that number, so there's really this ripple effect that happens when we work in our clients' homes and we work with our personal energy to raise our vibration.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I would love to do more collaboration and maybe retreat, make it plan maybe in 5 years or so in Bali. That
Yes.
would be amazing, amazing. Do
Yeah.
you have anything you'd like to share with your client, the audience that
Yeah, I do have a free gift that's on my website. That the current free gift is about opening the door to a brighter life. So it's lots of tips, feng shui tips for opening the door and essentially opening to energy. And my website is findingyourfiji.com. Fiji is Fiji. Lots of people spell it with the G, but it's JI and yeah, so there's lots of good stuff on my website too, as far as resources and that type of thing.
okay, good. So what is your free gift? Like
Yeah,
what do you
yeah, so the new one that I'm creating is called the Decision Detox. And so
Okay.
it's giving them three ways that they may be blocked from making decisions, and then also things that they can do to shift that so that they can be able to make whatever decision they're making or yeah, because I think that's the biggest thing for people that I talk to is they just they get wishy-washy about what they're deciding to do, and then they make a decision and then they second guess themselves and like they kind of go back and forth a lot, or they just feel stuck, they don't know what to do. And so that can be I feel like that's kind of a good thing to start with for people, and then I'll have a series of emails that will come with that too.
That's a very nice gift. Yeah, people should sign up and so they can just go to your website
Yeah, I
and
don't
then
have it.
get the
I don't
gift.
have this one up yet, but I will
Oh,
by the
okay.
time of the summit. I have the IFSG summit, and then also the I'm going to be speaking, I think, in Minneapolis. I have but yeah, so I have a potential opportunity to speak live in Minneapolis at a women's conference, and so I'm like trying to get all of this stuff like together before then. So
Well, thank you so much again.
yeah,
Hope to
you're
see you
so
again
welcome.
in Maui in
Yeah.
person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Namaste. Yeah.
Namaste.